In a flashback, Kim Ji-young witnesses his mother being beaten to death by a man in the street. The killer receives only a light sentence, leaving Ji-young traumatized and deeply disillusioned with the justice system. Years later, Ji-young is a top student at the police academy, admired by his peers and instructors. However, he secretly leads a double life. On weekends, he becomes the vigilante, tracking down criminals who have escaped proper punishment and delivering his own form of justice. His first target is the same man who killed his mother, now a repeat offender. Ji-young confronts him, demanding an apology, but ultimately leaves the man beaten and a chilling message written in blood. Meanwhile, reporter Choi Mirayo begins investigating the string of attacks on criminals, suspecting a vigilante is behind them. She pushes her boss to run a story, which quickly grabs the public's attention and sparks heated debate over the vigilante's actions. Mirayo tries to lure the vigilante into the open by exposing the identity of a recently released sex offender, Young Deok-hyung. As crowds gather outside Deok-hyung's home, he panics and flees, eventually heading to the home of his former victim. There, he attacks a police officer and chases the terrified victim through the building. Ji-young arrives just in time, confronting Deok-hyung in a violent showdown. He demands an apology, but when Deok-hyung refuses, Ji-young leaves him dead with another blood-written message. The police and media arrive at the crime scene. The police analyze the crime scene and the blood-written message left by the vigilante, interpreting it as a reference to the inevitability of justice. Inside the police station, officers debate whether the vigilante is a hero or a murderer. The chief is firm that the vigilante must be caught, while some officers sympathize with his motives given Deok-hyung's violent past. Public opinion is sharply divided. Many citizens support the vigilante as a necessary force against criminals who slip through legal loopholes, while others fear the lawlessness he represents. Reporter Choi Mirayo faces criticism for her coverage, accused of glorifying vigilantism, but she and her team decide to escalate their reporting by publicly naming 3 new criminals as potential targets, hoping to provoke the vigilante and increase viewership. Under pressure, the police form a special investigation unit combining local and regional forces. Jo Hyun, a tough and experienced officer, is appointed to lead the team, causing friction with local detectives who resent his outsider status. Jo Hyun immediately begins interrogating associates of the new targets, including Sung Yeol, a friend of Co Deep, one of the criminals named. Ji-young, still a police academy student by day, focuses on Co Deep, a man who killed his ex-employer's wife and children, but escaped severe punishment by claiming intoxication. Ji-young uncovers Deep's continued criminal activity, including drug dealing and boasting about evading justice. Using social media clues, Ji-young tracks Deep's movements and confronts him, demanding he repent and apologize to the victims' families. Ji-young secretly gives Deep a phone number linked to a DEA agent as a test of sincerity. Deep tries to escape, but finds Ji-young waiting at his hideout. Ji-young burns Deep's money and forces him to watch videos of his victims, demanding an apology. When Deep refuses, Ji-young kills him by strangulation. The police secure the new crime scene and hold a press conference, condemning the vigilante as a murderer. Jo Hyun intensifies the investigation, interrogating Sung Yeol further. Under pressure, Sung Yeol admits that Deep had been followed by a young person recently, narrowing the suspect list. Meanwhile, groups of people begin taking justice into their own hands, attacking and even killing criminals who have evaded proper punishment. This wave of street justice sparks national debate, with some citizens defending the vigilantes as heroes and others condemning the violence and chaos now spreading across Korea. The police, led by Cho Hyun, are under immense pressure as they struggle to deal with the rise in vigilantism. The real vigilante, Kim Ji-young, watches news coverage with his friend Seon-wook, and for once, they agree that the justice system is failing victims. Meanwhile, the police investigation is stalling, and criminals now fear the vigilante more than law enforcement. A new case grabbed Ji-young's attention. A beloved grandmother from his neighborhood is murdered in a random attack. The killer is hospitalized, and both the police and reporter Choi Mirayo anticipate that the vigilante might strike at the hospital. Mirai and her team stake out the building, hoping to catch the vigilante in action while the police secure the area. Ji-young, disguised as a doctor, manages to slip past the police and confronts the killer in his hospital room. He warns the man to repent and urges him to confess fully in court to ensure a maximum sentence. Ji-young leaves behind the killer's brother's phone as proof of his visit. On his way out, he crosses paths with Cho Hyun, who grows increasingly suspicious of Ji-young's movements. Moments later, the killer is murdered by a masked copycat vigilante, who escapes using rappelling gear and a fake ambulance. Ji-young chases after the copycat and manages to confront him. The copycat, who is thrilled to meet the original vigilante, proposes that they join forces, but Ji-young refuses the offer. The copycat escapes, leaving Ji-young unsettled by this new threat. Meanwhile, Ji-young is struggling to maintain his double life as the pressure from the police investigation intensifies. Jo Hyun continues to close in, reviewing surveillance footage from around the police academy and nearby areas. He notices inconsistencies in Ji-young's alibi and begins to suspect that Ji-young might be the vigilante. Jo Hyun visits Ji-young's dormitory under the pretense of routine checks, subtly probing for any signs of suspicious behavior. Meanwhile, Ji-young's friend Seon-wook grows increasingly worried about Ji-young's secret activities. He confronts Ji-young, urging him to stop risking his life and future. Ji-young, however, is determined to continue his mission, believing that the justice system will never adequately punish dangerous criminals. At the same time, reporter Choi Mirai investigates a new lead about a corrupt businessman, Park Min-jae, who has evaded prosecution despite overwhelming evidence of fraud and violence. Mirai interviews victims and whistleblowers, gathering enough information to publish a damning expose. She hopes this story will pressure the authorities to act and possibly draw the vigilante's attention. Ji-young targets Park Min-jae next. He tracks Min-jae to a private club where the businessman is meeting with shady associates. Jo Hyun intensifies his investigation, coordinating with multiple departments to track suspicious activities linked to Ji-young. Surveillance footage from various locations is analyzed meticulously, and officers are dispatched to monitor Ji-young's known hangouts and contacts. Ji-young, meanwhile, struggles with the physical and emotional toll of his double life. His injuries worsen, and he isolates himself from friends, including Seon-wook, who grows increasingly concerned but is kept in the dark about Ji-young's true identity. Ji-young's resolve remains firm, fueled by his desire to deliver justice where the system fails. Choi Mirai continues her investigative journalism, focusing on exposing the corruption within the police force that enables criminals like Park Min-jae to evade justice. She uncovers evidence linking high-ranking officials to Min-jae's illicit activities, risking her career and safety to publish the story. The expose causes public outrage and forces the police chief to promise reforms, but also triggers backlash from powerful figures. Ji-young sets his sights on a new target, a notorious gang leader involved in human trafficking and drug smuggling. He gathers intelligence on the gang's operations, carefully planning his approach to avoid collateral damage. Using his police training, Ji-young infiltrates one of the gang's warehouses at night, confronting several members and destroying their illegal stockpile. During the raid, Ji-young encounters a young woman held captive by the gang. He rescues her, but the escape is chaotic, attracting police attention. Jo Hyun's team arrives shortly after, finding evidence of the vigilante's involvement, but no sign of Ji-young himself. The rescued woman is taken into protective custody and provides crucial testimony against the gang. A physical confrontation occurs between Ji-young and Jo Hyun, where Hyun tries to persuade Ji-young to give up being the vigilante and join the police force, symbolically wanting to kill the vigilante persona. Ji-young remains steadfast in his convictions, but says he will stop being the vigilante if Hyun can show him that justice exists under the law. Meanwhile, Choi Mirai's investigation into Chairman Kim Samdu leads her and a fellow reporter to a storage container filled with cryptocurrency servers, but they are discovered. Her fellow reporter sacrifices himself so Mirai can escape and expose Chairman Kim's criminal empire. Mirai broadcasts the story linking the servers to Chairman Kim, despite facing pressure to back down. She is almost kidnapped, but is saved by Jo Hyun. Jo Hyun locates a hideout used by Chairman Kim, discovering it is a corpse disposal headquarters. He shuts down what the news outlets report as a vigilante murder factory. Ji-young is not pleased that he's being written out of the story, so he steals Chairman Kim's top-secret ledgers and kills a serial rapist minion, leaving his signature bloody message at the scene. After these events, both Hyun and Mirai-oh are forced to step down from their positions. Mirai-oh, with help from Kang Ok, establishes her own independent news station, V News, committed to uncovering the truth. She declares that anyone who helps bring the truth to light is a vigilante and states that she will never commit suicide, implying that any death would be murder. Vigilante marks a turning point as Ji-young's crusade against corruption and crime faces severe backlash, and a lines between ally and enemy blur. Jo Hyun is hospitalized after the attack, and news of the vigilante saving a police officer becomes a media sensation. The public speculates about the relationship between Jo Hyun and the vigilante, while the police confirm the attack was orchestrated by a criminal organization and promised swift justice. Ji-young's ally Kang Ok questions why Ji-young saved Jo Hyun, their supposed adversary. Ji-young reveals he hopes to inspire Jo Hyun to become a vigilante himself, believing he could be a powerful force for justice. Meanwhile, Ji-young escalates his campaign against corruption by targeting the Seawool Company and its criminal backers. He sets fire to one of their offices, steals cryptocurrency, and donates the proceeds to a local orphanage. He leaves a message demanding that corrupt officials Eom Jae-hyub and Kim Sam-doo turn themselves in, making it clear this is a counterattack against those who protect criminals. This donation and public message infuriate Mr. Bang, who retaliates by murdering the orphanage director and leaving a copycat blood message, crossing a line that deeply angers Ji-young. Ji-young realizes that his actions are putting innocent people in danger and warns Kang Ok to protect reporter Mirai-oh, who he suspects will be the next target. Mirai-oh, aware of the threat, sets up hidden cameras and live streams as Sam-doo's men break into her office. The live stream alerts viewers and the police, but Kang Ok arrives first, fighting off the attackers with a bat. Mirai-oh realizes he isn't the real vigilante, as Ji-young never uses weapons, but is grateful for the rescue. Meanwhile, police suspicion toward Ji-young intensifies. Yoon-gil, the new head of the vigilante investigation, brings Ji-young in for questioning at the police academy, pointing out that a phone linked to the cryptocurrency transaction was briefly activated on campus, and that Ji-young matches the vigilante's physical profile. Ji-young maintains his innocence, but his friends and Professor Yob grow increasingly suspicious. Mirai-oh narrowly escapes another attempt on her life, Ji-young feeling the weight of collateral damage from his crusade, and the police closing in as evidence mounts against him. Jo Hyun, awakening from his coma, prepares to get stronger, hinting at a possible alliance or confrontation with Ji-young in the episodes to come. Choi Mirai-oh is kidnapped and tortured by Mr. Bang's gang, who demands she reveal the vigilante's identity. Despite the threats, she refuses to cooperate. Meanwhile, Gang Ok discovers her disappearance and alerts Ji-young. Together, they locate the gang's hideout, seize their cryptocurrency wallets, and use them as leverage, forcing the gang to agree to a trade for Mirai-oh's safety. The exchange is set at the World Cup Stadium, where chaos erupts as multiple people disguised as the vigilante appear, making it impossible to tell who is real. Mirai-oh is brought to the meeting, and Ji-young manages to rescue her, instructing her to live stream the confrontation to expose the criminals. As tensions rise, Ji-young's friend, Min Seon-wook, arrives, revealing he knows Ji-young's secret. During the melee, Kim Sam-doo tries to kill Ji-young, but Seon-wook intervenes and is fatally stabbed. Ji-young is devastated and urges Mirai-oh to get Seon-wook to a hospital. The situation escalates when Jae-hyub, the corrupt police university president, arrives and shoots both Ji-young and Jo Hyun. Bang tries to finish Ji-young off, but Ji-young kills him in self-defense. Jo Hyun stops Ji-young from killing Jae-hyub, insisting on following the law, but after Jae-hyub shoots Ji-young again, Jo Hyun loses control and kills Jae-hyuk in a fit of rage. Afterward, Mirai-oh is interrogated by the police, but claims Seon-wook was the vigilante, protecting Ji-young's identity. The authorities accept her story, and she is released. Ji-young, mourning his friend, visits Seon-wook's grave, reflecting on the sacrifices made in his fight for justice. The media falsely praising Jae-hyuk as a hero, while Ji-young stands alone at the police university graduation, refusing to participate. Mirai-oh and Jo Hyun watch from a distance, aware that the struggle against corruption is far from over. The story ends on a somber note, with Ji-young's legacy as the vigilante left uncertain, but his impact undeniable.